And a very pleasant good evening, everybody out there in quarantine world. Welcome to another exciting evening with your best friends on Facebook Live, Brian Carruthers and Ed Troop. Let's remind you where we're at here in quarantine. It is day 37, believe it or not, as we get ready for an exciting show. Jim Krenn, the king of Pittsburgh radio, as some people have called him, will be joining us. But first, let's bring in the real reason you're here. You know him, you love him. He is bald and beautiful, the co-host of 31 More Days with Brian and Ed. Ed Troop. Good evening, Ed. Oh, I'm sorry, dude. I hit the wrong button. I hit the wrong button. Hold up. I accidentally hit a picture of Michael Jordan, who you claim to look like,
Right,
and I got confused.
There, wait, does that help? Now you can see it.
Yeah.
Can you see it now?
Yeah. Wait, look. I put a Facebook poll up today on my on I don't know, pages or whatever it's supposed to be called. And it was a picture of you next to Michael Jordan. It says, "Does Ed Troop look like Michael Jordan?" 75% of the people who took the polls all said no.
Oh, jeez.
And I think my mom was one of them that said yes.
Just to make me feel good.
Hi, Scott. Hi, Terry. Hi, Todd. Hi, JJ. Hi, Mike. Hi, Andrew. Hi, Ben. Hi, Patty. Great to see you all tonight. Welcome to day 37 of quarantine with Brian, Ed, and Black Ed.
I didn't see the poll today up on Facebook. I wish I would have. I would have voted.
It was, does Ed Troop look like Michael Jordan? And it was unanimous most of the day. And I will say that the few people who voted yes or who voted yes, I think that they were just making fun of it. That's okay, though, right?
Of course, I'm making a joke about it. I mean, the only thing we've got in common.
Wait a second. Are you making a joke about it? Because you bring it up a lot.
The only thing we have in common is our two things: our bald head, and our basketball skills.
Hey, speaking of Michael Jordan, I know last night, we won't get too deep into the Bulls documentary that's on ESPN, but a new report comes out, and I guess they must cover this this week, is how big Scottie Pippen's member is.
Oh, really?
Yes, and him and Michael Jordan, I guess, have a long going back and forth battle of who is bigger, if you can believe this. And it actually ties in Madonna. Madonna, after games, would pick up Scottie Pippen at Chicago Stadium or the United Center in a limo with a hot tub in the back. And her and Scottie, they'd get it on to the break of dawn.
Man, Madonna's got a pretty good roster, man, of men hookups that she's had over the years. But
yes,
my goodness, imagine if you had that on your resume, Madonna.
Well, it just makes me wonder, but it drove Jordan crazy, and they're going to talk about it in that documentary episode 3 and 4 on Sunday night ESPN. Also, they talk about the Chicago Bulls battle with the bad boys, the Detroit Pistons, with Lambeer and Isaiah Thomas and John Sally and all those guys.
I thought Madonna and Dennis Rodman were a thing.
They were a thing. She was with Rodman, but I don't know what came first, the chicken or the egg. But Madonna, I guess, apparently has been with both Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman, and she never did anything with Jordan because she wasn't impressed.
Oh, wow.
I don't know.
Man. To be in that locker room, huh?
Oh, my God. Can you imagine? Hey, hi, Frank. Hi, Kevin. Hi, Mike. Hi, Sandy. Hi, Mark. Hi, Doug. How are you tonight, Doug? Hi, Scott. Welcome to the show. Jim Krenn on his way. We're going to talk to that radio legend tonight. Really looking forward to it. I mean, I guess if you would say who would be the top person in Pittsburgh radio throughout our whole life, I'd have to say, whether you love him or hate him or never even listen to him, you'd have to say Jim Krenn at least would be in the top 3. I think you have John Cigna, Jim Krenn.
This is the radio Rushmore of Pittsburgh, right?
Rush?
Oh, no, not Rush Limbaugh. The Rush the Pittsburgh radio. John Klein, maybe?
Oh, definitely John Klein, leader of John Day Bubba Shelley, but also a juggernaut. But we'll talk to Krenn as soon as he gets on there. Looking forward to seeing him. But Ed, are you following the tragic news that North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is on his deathbed? Are you following this? Does it matter to you?
Well, I believe CNN's headline last night was gravely ill. So I think that was kind of funny that it was gravely ill was the exact words that were used over and over again. I actually thought of you, and I was going to text you last night when I saw it as breaking news because I know you've done some bits about him.
Yeah, when I was on radio in Philadelphia with John DeBella, I would call in as Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-il, who was before Kim Jong-un, and just do real terrible Asian stereotype stuff. And it was funny though, talk about like how all the people in North Korea were eating dirt soup for dinner and don't worry about us. It was a funny bit. And in its day, now it's totally offensive. You can't do those voices anymore or anything. But Kim Jong-un, and he just became good friends with Trump. This summer, Trump said that they fell in love. And talk about a whirlwind year for Trump. How about Kim Jong-un? He left North Korea for the first time, stepped into South Korea. He fell in love with Trump, and now he's going to die. I mean, what a year for this guy.
But do you really believe those news reports? I mean, you can't believe anything that comes out of North Korea, I don't think, about any type of news.
No, I agree with you. It's hard to tell what's real and what's not, but I guess if it's no North Korea source is saying this, I guess everyone's spying on North Korea at all times, and now they know that he's going to die. But here's the thing that's most interesting: how old do you think he is? Did you see this?
I did not see this. I know he's pretty young, isn't he? Like in his 30s?
Yeah, he's like 35. What could have went wrong in that surgery? I don't know. My fear is, I'm Kim Jong-un. I'm in love with Trump, but maybe that love affair is over. Who knows? And my biggest fear is, as the doctors say, hey, it's over, let's take off the oxygen, he has one more breath, and that breath is, bring me the button. Bring me the button. And he launches it right as he dies.
Well, let's pray that that's not the case, right?
Well,
let's
keep
pray
the button away from Kim Jong-un. I mean, what does he have to lose,
Oh, my.
Even Trump said, my mom just said, even Trump knows, little rocket man.
Once again,
stay away from the button. Just get that out of his mind. But I hope that that's not the case for sure. Hi, Roger. Hi, Joanne. Hi, Krista. Hi, Carl. Hi, Shirley. Talked to Shirley earlier. Shirley is a big fan of the show, and she shares all of our posts. So thanks, Shirley. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So do you want to see my artwork that I did today? Well, first of all, we should back up and say that your mom bought the original Kite Man that we did last week. And she sent a donation over to buy it, even though I told her not to, but she did.
Yeah.
So we put that in play today with the Washington County Food Pantry.
How nice. Were all food pantries doubling their things today? Because I heard Coriopolis was, and then you said you donated $50 to the Washington County Food Bank, which was nice, and they doubled that. So great. What a great time to donate to your local food bank.
Yeah. So, I mean, we joke about my artwork and my picture, of course, but it went to a good cause, and kudos to your mom.
Right? I don't want to interrupt, but you do take this serious. I mean, not that you think you're an artist, but you do put time and effort into making these look good. I mean, they look nice. The one you did of Trump was good. The one you did of me was fine. And what did you do today?
Well, so I got an idea afterwards. So this is Castaway Kite Man. Castaway Kite Man.
Okay, now explain what we're looking at here.
So this is you on an island, basically being Tom Hanks, and you have Wilson right here. Yeah. There you are. With, you're shirtless.
Yeah. There's my nipples.
You got nipples. I gave you nipples, small little nipples. FedEx. There's the FedEx boxes, including the one that has the wings on it.
Yeah.
Here's the ocean. Up here we have the what are they called? Coconuts. The coconut trees.
The palm trees.
Here's the mountains in the background on the island, and some nice clouds and a nice sun over here.
How long did it take you to draw that?
This right here says help, because on the beach he puts help. He makes the word help on the beach but for you, because your nickname's Kite Man, I decided to draw a little kite that says help.
Well, what's interesting is the sun with the mountains you drew connected to the sun looks like a yellow helium-filled balloon got away.
Oh, it does kind of look like it now that I look at it. But
Yeah.
No, it's the sun's like,
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
See, now you didn't turn out as good as you did before. No, I mean, I gave you some more hair. It's grown in.
Yeah, why do I have those raccoon eyes? Are those my glasses?
Those are your glasses.
Okay. All right. Yeah, great. Well, what do we want to do now? Todd says it's a masterpiece. Do you want?
I think that there's some
yours, man. If you want it.
I thought this was some nice attention to detail too with the Fed Xboxes. So it's Castaway Kite Man. There you go.
I like it a lot, man. And how long did it take you to draw that? An hour?
That took about an hour. Yeah, an hour today, this afternoon. I just put the finishing touches on it.
Well, it's my routine right now. Today for me was a very depressing day. Monday's weather was great. We hiked. By the way, are we tired of hiking with our kids? And what are we, 3 months ago, I would have said, boy, I hope my kids become doctors someday. Now I'm convinced that they're going to become rock climbers.
Right.
All we do is hike. Just keep on hiking. But I'm glad to see that you're drawing, because days like today, coming off of a beautiful day, weather-wise, with it being rainy and cold, I'm just depressed. I'm on edge. No one's happy in my house. So maybe I need to start doodling the way you do. It's a nice stress reliever, and it takes 60 minutes to draw that. Joe said, put that in the Warhol.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, right. There you go. That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Something to do, man. Like I said, it's funny because it started out with my 6-year-old that him and I used to do a lot of them together. Well, now he's ditched me for Fortnite on Xbox, so he's nowhere to be found, and it's just me by myself doing some of these drawings.
Is he playing Xbox tonight? Because my son Cy is pumped tonight on Fortnite. Travis Scott, the rapper, is, and I don't know how Fortnite works. I know you just land in the world and you start shooting everybody, but that's my comprehension of it. But apparently Travis Scott, who is a rapper, I don't know any of his work, he's somewhere in Fortnite, and he's going to do a live concert. So my son Cy and his buddy Reed are just so pumped. They know exactly how to get to the land, and they can't wait to watch Travis Scott perform on Fortnite. Now, I asked him, because you kill each other in this game. I was like, hey, when you're gonna watch Travis Scott, like, do you not shoot each other? And he goes, oh, no, I think you kill each other during the game while you're watching Travis. And I thought, is this is allowed? Like, this is something that goes on? Like, dude,
it's crazy.
It's the end of kids, right? I mean, now we're gonna now we can't even go to events to see if potentially someone shows up crazy. Now we're gonna do it on Fortnite. Very scary.
Our 9-year-old Ryan, we held off on Fortnite with him for a long, long time, and we finally gave in after his 9th birthday. We just turned 9 in December. Brendan's only 6 and he's playing, and I worry about that sometimes. He's only 6, but he's watching his big brother play, so how do you keep him off of it? You can't. So he's on there too, and I don't know, man. They have a lot of fun with it. It's not my type of game, but though I'm always a sports gamer, so I play the Madden, hockey, basketball, that type of stuff, the NBA live game. So,
and I think people get bored with Fortnite. I've seen kids come and go. Our good friend, their son, who's in high school, is almost done. Was just nonstop Fortnite, and now as a high school kid has lost interest. Hi, Kelly. Hi, John. Hi, Abby. Good evening, everybody. Jim Krenn on his way here on 31 more days with Brian and Ed. Well, Ed, that's a beautiful piece of artwork. And before we bring Krenn on, hi, Bridget. I wanted to ask you about your take on Rob Gronkowski going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Is this all a work? Like, are we getting worked up over sports about nothing? Like, it's all just fun and games, right?
It is. I thought Rob Gronkowski, when he retired, he wasn't going to really retire. I mean, I don't know if a lot of people realize, but I think he's only, 29? I think
he's
30.
30. Oh, wait. He retired at 29 or 30.
Right.
I think he's no older than 31 or 32.
Right. He only played like 7 or 8 seasons. He was that good in only 7 or 8 seasons. And those 7 or 8 seasons, he was hurt for several years too. So It wasn't like he had a full 7 or 8 years that he gave you that impression of being the greatest tight end in the game. He's so big. He's so athletic. He's so good. So I'm not surprised, man. I'm sure Brady down there was like, I'm sure right now Tom Brady wants to win a Super Bowl without Bill Belichick, and vice versa. Bill Belichick wants to win a Super Bowl without Brady, so they can both, because that's been the talk, right?
Yeah.
The two of them together is the super duo that won 6 Super Bowls and the best out there. So now they're both on a mission to win one without the other, so they can say that they were the greater of the two.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Brady was like, "Bring Gronk down here." He's had a year off now.
Oh, he looks great. He's lost like 30 or 40 pounds. Now, my friend Ben, and I think we talked about this when Brady went to Tampa Bay, and his mom's right here, Patty, saying how excited she is. The whole Milsom family must be pumped because Ben, who I grew up with, went to high school with, knew when we were kids. He's the head of season tickets for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh, wow. His job is easy right now.
I mean, talk about someone who's going to leave coronavirus and remember it as one of the greatest moments of his life. Ben Milsom. Now, I've asked Ben to come on this show and talk about, like, how do you prepare, like, as an organization for the greatest athlete of all time to come, and how do you get it out? But I think everything's going so good for him. He politely said he doesn't really want to come on and ruin anything because he said he's very direct and he doesn't need to come on. So I'm happy for him. I hope he's just rolling in a bed of money like that movie with Demi Moore when she's naked in Las Vegas rolling in all that money. And I hope it's a great year, and I hope they play there forever. And I hope Ben retires on Brady.
Well, it's funny is I didn't know your buddy had that position as the head of season tickets for the Tampa Bay Bucks, but I did make the comment when Brady signed there that probably the department within the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that is thrilled right now are their season ticket department.
Oh my God.
Their jobs just became a lot easier.
Well, I saw Ben when the Steelers played there 2 seasons ago, and that's when they were suffering through Fitz magic. And they would bring Flo Rida in to perform in between quarters to get people to come to the games, and I'm sure there was a massive struggle there. So hey, for people who work hard, these are the tiny blessings in life. So I'm happy. Let's see. John says Gronk is back. He doesn't have Belichick to tell him what to do. He's going to get into trouble in Tampa Bay. Yeah, Gronk is a party machine during the Super Bowl. I think he dates the Sports Illustrated cover model, some blonde girl like Camille or somebody. I see her on Instagram, and they're just like, they're both beautiful people. They're both ripped. They're both naked. Gronk will run into a big problem probably in Tampa Bay. Doug says, imagine Gronk hanging out, living on the Gulf Coast. Yikes. Yeah, it's going to be good times for him.
The only thing about Gronk is he has had an injury-plagued career, being that big and that athletic. He's had a few concussions too over the course of his career that have put him out for more than just a game or two. So that'll be interesting to see now that he's sat out a year and he comes back, if he can stay healthy. If he can stay healthy, man, that's a huge weapon. And that Tampa Bay offense now with him and Brady, Mike Evans at wide receiver, they got Goodwin, the other receiver. Yeah. Dude, that is – and then they drafted Devin White out of LSU last year. He was the guy the Steelers wanted. They either wanted him or Bush, and they end up White went to Tampa Bay. Bush came here, so that defense is getting better. Tampa Bay might win the Super Bowl this upcoming year.
I mean, you're not going out on a limb, right? I mean, you have Brady now; they have all these great weapons. I did see that there's a charity auction, and I can't remember what it was, but it's passing me by. But they're raising money now for coronavirus and pandemic issues and Feeding America or something. I don't know, but great cause. It's a great cause. Everybody give all your money to it. It's fantastic. But Brady is on that charity. He's giving away his shoes, his spikes, and his jersey from his opening night game in Tampa. And then you get to go to dinner with him after that game. And the bid right now is over like $1.5 million. So if you're looking to get in on that, you don't have the money.
Well, here's the thing about Brady and being big Steeler fans like we are. We hate the Patriots. We've always hated Brady because he's beat us pretty much every single time. Definitely the greatest quarterback of all time, no doubt about that. But Brady, actually, when you dig into his story a little bit, man, he is the ultimate underdog that has overachieved, man. And he's actually a great story to get behind. He didn't start at Michigan till his senior year. If you ever seen his combine pictures, he looked like 1/4 of you and me, maybe, if that. I mean, he looked like Cy, your son.
Maybe for tomorrow's artwork, could you draw a picture of Tom Brady at the combine?
No, I won't tackle that one. But, and then, Drew Bledsoe gets hurt and he comes in. The rest is history as the Patriots quarterback. He was drafted in the sixth round. I mean, not sixth overall, but in the sixth round. So, dude, Brady's a great story. We just, as Steeler fans, have that vision of him always dominating us, and we hate him and the cockiness that goes along with winning. But he's a great story.
All right, let's not hold back. He's been waiting long enough, and really, people are only here to see him tonight. And it really does show Ed how bored people are in quarantine. I try to rank how bored people are in quarantine based on if they'll come on this show or not. But let's welcome to the show Jim Krenn. Hi, Jim.
Hey, Brian. How you doing, buddy? Thanks for having me.
Good, man.
There he is. What's up, Jim?
Guys, how you doing? How boring it is, right? And what do we do all day with ourselves? I mean, I've been writing and things like that and catching up on things, but there's only so many times you can clean your condo. My God, I'm like at level. I'm to the point now where I won't be on Hoarders, which is good. I'm just like a notch above Hoarders, so it's a little clean.
Hey, and that's a victory, Jimmy. If we get out of this without having some sort of mental illness, and probably one of them will be hoarding, I think it's a victory.
It is a big victory. It's hard. Are you guys having a hard time exercising? Like I'm like talking myself into it, like.
Well, do you normally exercise?
No, that's true. I don't normally exercise. You're right.
That might be one of the problems.
I feel even lazier though now.
I try to use elastic resistance bands.
Oh,
and
wow!
I just feel so wimpy using them because they're like, as I'm doing it, they're cutting my back, and I'm in pain, and it's just not working. But you see a lot of people who are like at-home athletes that they've embraced this, and they look better now than they did pre-quarantine.
That that was that's the Tom Brady thing, the bands.
Yeah,
I'm one of the idiots that bought his book. Believe it or not.
What do you think of it?
It was interesting in the sense I followed the diet for 2 days, so that's how long I lasted.
What is the diet? Because he doesn't eat like yogurt that's made of mustard or something. Like it's really gross stuff.
The recipes, it's horrible. It tastes like I went out in my backyard and ate sticks and twigs or something. It was like that kind of stuff. It was like everything's like bland, and I mean the guy's dedicated. God bless him. But the bands were the big thing. Like people were all. He said that's what keeps him flexible. That's what makes him a better quarterback. And I thought it makes sense, right? Because he's more flexible.
The first guy I heard doing the bands and no weights was Troy Polamalu, and then Brady kind of jumped in on that.
Because flexibility is probably bigger for those positions, right?
Yeah.
Like with Troy, it's safety or quarterback or running back. It probably more flexibility, receiver especially. So, but for me, just sitting on the couch, I'll do anything. I'll try the bands. I'll buy the bands.
Jim, Jim, if you're following the TB12 protocol, man, has your arm gotten better, man? Can you throw the football down 60, 70 yards downfield now?
I could go 15 yards now. I can throw 15 yards.
Beautiful. That's beautiful.
Have you guys, have you bought your masks? Do you have your masks to wear?
I have mine right here, Jim. This is a bandana that I wore to a Sadie Hawkins dance in 1997.
You an old school mask.
Yeah. And it has my wife's hair ties on it, but it doesn't fit my.
Let me see.
I'm too fat.
Look, you're gonna rob a bank or so. Yeah, I like that. Look.
Yeah. Well, I went to the post office. Now Ed does a different thing. He doesn't wear a mask. He wears like a turtleneck and a hat and stuff.
I've seen that look.
I took an old tassel hat and I cut out the top of it and then just pull it down over top of this with another tassel hat. I look like the Unabomber.
You're not going to believe.
So,
I read this article in China. The trend is they're cutting bras, like the bra cups, and they're using those masks. I was like, oh my God. Pretty good idea, actually. It's kind of genius.
Well, I got out of the car at the post office and I was putting my mask on, which feels so weird, right? That feels like just the weirdest sensation. And then I got out of the car and a lady next to me was putting her mask on. And I said to her, it's like the new pickup line, Jim. I was like, hey, I love your mask, just to like make conversation. And she goes, well, thanks. I just met. And all of a sudden we start hitting it off. And I was like, well, this is a quarantine love connection. I don't know what you look like, but I'm in love with you.
It worked. That's a good move. I like that move a lot.
Yeah.
Have you guys gotten to the point with the gloves, the rubber gloves?
No, have you?
No, my mom, well, she's a senior. She's in her 80s. Lou. Her name is Lou's 83. A Pittsburgh mom, which I always say Pittsburgh mom. Her idea of breakfast is a cigarette and a Dr. Pepper. Right?
Right.
That's a Pittsburgh mom.
Of course.
So we went to Giant Eagle the other day and made sure she had her mask on and she put her gloves on and she got this curly gray hair and little. And I was like, Mom, she looks with the mask and gloves. She's like right in the middle of like a crazed heart surgeon that you wouldn't go to, and a serial killer from ID Discovery. She's like right in the middle. The look.
Yeah.
You see her, you go, yeah, that's either crazed heart surgeon or a serial killer. Not sure.
But was she waiting for it? Is she a neurotic senior now? Like, is this kind of like, because I feel like a lot of people have been given the pass now to just let their inner neurotic life out. Is she one of those people? Are you one of those people?
I'm not. My mom, I must have got it from my mom, but my mom is one of those people. She's convinced. I don't know why, but she's convinced she's had it already.
Okay, yeah. Ed's convinced that he had it, right, Ed?
She goes,
yeah, I was pretty sick back in December, but I read something. It's funny, and a lot of people have thought about that. But I read something the other day online from like a brain surgeon that said absolutely 110% false. No one in America had this prior to like mid-February. If you think you did, you're
Jim's mom. Jim's mom.
It's so funny. It's so funny because I had like 3 friends say that too. Oh yeah, I had it a couple months ago. They thought they had, like you said, in December. I had a couple people say that. It's like the symptoms, bad cough. My mom was like, I had it last. She had a heavy Pittsburgh accent. She goes, "Oh, I had it last year."
Right.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Do you remember the cough? I'm like, I don't remember the cough. She goes, it was bad. He was bad. Yeah,
do you wish that you were still covering this? Do you? I mean, I don't know if you missed the wake up call for DVE in the morning, but do you wish that you were on every day to talk about this and get people through it?
I do miss morning radio at times. I don't really miss it too much because I have an outlet with my podcast, Jim Krenn, No Restrictions.
Yeah.
So it gives me enough of an outlet, and I get to be a guest. Actually, I'm going to be on KDK on Larry Richards' show every week. Pretty soon, like a month or so, we're gonna do a Friday morning. So I just get a taste, just enough, because after 25 years, it was just becoming a grind for me to do every day. So just anything you do a long time. Every once in a while you do miss it. I miss this. I miss talking the audience too, and the energy about it. Because it's like a fight or flight vibe you have when you're performing. Which I get when I'm doing stand up also. But I just something it's different about this kind of broadcasting thing. But like I said, I get my fix pretty well with podcasting and with Larry when I go on his show.
But this story hasn't inspired you to be like, man, I want to get back there every day to talk about this in the trenches and find out who's wearing the masks, or you're okay in your condo right now?
I'm okay in the condo because I get to vent through through like Facebook with my fan page, I do these little videos on my fan page. So I think for performers, as long as you have a platform, way to vent your performance, it gives you your fix, because it is a fix. You do need you live for it. Since I was 12 years old or whenever I start being a goofball, but so I just live for that fix. So I get it with the little videos and then the podcast. So I piece it together. Whereas before it was just all 4 hours, every morning.
Well, you mentioned Larry. I thought that maybe you would jump in with him when Shumway departed. Were you thinking about that gig?
Yeah.
Did you want that gig?
We talked about it. No. Well, we weren't sure. I wasn't sure to get back in the grind.
Yeah.
And it was, but then we compromised to where I got a thing where I'm going to do every Friday, and I'm going to do some specials with those guys. So I think it was just a nice compromise. I was told I want to leave stand up again full time, because to do morning radio, it takes all of your time, really. And I was still doing stand up, but it was just on automatic, really. Couldn't really write a lot, couldn't add a lot of things to my act. It was a 60, 70 hour week.
Sure.
And just always thinking of the show, always performing, writing about performance, thinking that way. And it kind of gets to that point where I'm having more fun doing it in piecemeal, like I said, the podcast, the video here, being guests on a show like this and doing my stand-up. So I didn't want to lose that creativity. And I also saw photos of myself from back then. And I tell you guys, I feel so much healthier. I don't look, it's not a good look. I was sporting at the end there. It's like,
you look like you were dying.
Yeah,
Did you feel like you were dying?
God worked in mysterious ways. I'm definitely way healthier. It's a healthier lifestyle now.
That's good to hear.
It's just the right amount of time. So no, I don't really miss it too much as far as, doing the grind. But I do miss, like I said, performing every day. You're right. I think things that are like this, where you feel that little bit, like you said, responsibility to vent, to help people, because that's what it started. When I was a kid, I was like 26 when I first started on DVs, and I was just coming off stand up, and I didn't even understand, the impact that radio had. And I realized, because I knew nothing about it really, because I came from stand up clubs, and I was doing a show for a few months, and this girl called and said, you have to be really funny every Thursday at 8:30. I said, why? She goes, I have a electrolysis I have to get for my kidney, and it gets me through it. I have to drive there. I have to drive there, and it gets me through. And it hit me. I was like, wow, man, I will. But that's what it's about. That's what this is. That's the responsibility of doing that. So I miss that kind of thing where there's a little bit of responsibility feel to share your,
I get it. Yeah.
Jim, we were talking a little bit before you came on. Brian and I were about Pittsburgh legends on radio legends and the Rushmore of Pittsburgh on air morning show folks. And you definitely made that list, my friend. So you were definitely on there. I used to listen to you all the time, man. But I got to ask you, was that you that was the bye French Canadian guy? Was that the one you came up with when Lemieux retired, and that's the day that hockey died? Because every time I hear American Pie, I don't think of American Pie. I sing in the background the song about Mario retiring.
That was actually Scott. I'm pretty sure it was Scott that did that. Yeah,
was it?
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was you or him. I couldn't remember. You were on during that time, right?
Like our musician corner. He was more of the musician and did a lot of the song parodies. But yeah, it was him, and I think it was Scott. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was him at that time. Yeah, it's a long time ago. But yeah, I do remember him doing that. It was It's funny. With so much material, it kind of all blends together. It's really the coolest thing though, for me, Ed, when you hear stuff like that. When somebody talks about a bit that we did or something we did back then, and you think back and you go, "Wow, that's really cool." Do you remember that? That you don't realize how it impacted people.
Yeah.
I had somebody a couple of months ago just walked up and started quoting Stanley Pikachowski's Halloween bit, and just knew it, off by heart. I'm like, wow,
And did you even remember that you did it?
I remembered it, but I teased it. The fact that he knew it off by heart. Oh my God. So you realize, wow, that's really cool.
Are you good at chronologically your career? Did you keep things? Did you journal? I mean, it's pretty extensive, right? Did you do that, or do you wish that you could go back in time and still have it?
Brian, I wish I would have done that. I just didn't do it. I was a kid. I didn't know what I was doing, man. And my writing style was so weird. It is now too. I just jot down little notes, and it's almost like my own writing or scribble, where I know this little note will get me to the next bit or sentence. So it wasn't like a script. I'd have like these codes kind of that I'd have in front of me.
Secret language to yourself?
Yes. And then I'd use those codes and do the bit. So it had like a live feel. So I'd have some things written on the script, and then I'd go off. But I always had the anchor of the beginning, and I had an end and a little bit in the middle, but so I could just improvise as I was going. So it was a hybrid improvisation and written every skit that I did, or most of the skits that I did, like Stanley Pikachowski and things like that.
Yeah. What do you think is going to happen? Because you said you came from stand up and you still do it regularly. Are people going to come back to comedy clubs after this? Do they want, and as a performer, do you want to stand on stage and have 400 people at the Improv breathe on you?
Yeah, I think everything's going to get back to normal sooner or later. I don't think it's going to be anything different a few months after we get through this panic. I think, it's obviously serious, but I think we're going to be fine as far as, we've gotten through different things, our country, and, this is kind of an odd thing for us. We're living through something historically that'll be talked about. But I do think it'll get back to normal very soon.
Not good for comedy though, right? If you have to keep everybody, the whole beauty of it is Petri dish, right? You want everybody in there tight. So if you have to do 3 or 4 feet between tables and cut tables out of where you're performing, that could alter comedy forever.
Well, I do think you're on to something, Brian. I do think entertainment in general is going to be altered forever, in a sense that everybody's online now. Whereas before a lot of us were online, but now the hours have changed. It's almost switched from we were a television country to online. There was a certain generation that was online a lot. But now every demographic is online. I was in a virtual meeting the other day, and we're talking about like digital radio and internet radio is up 21%, and as far as people listening, and I'm sure you're getting a lot more viewers in your show. I think that is definitely going to change and not go back. In other words, I think people are now getting in that habit of staying online and seeing how great it is. Actually, it's fantastic because you get to connect. We get to do shows like this,
Right.
and and this is the coolest thing, because I always thought with the internet, man, it's like the Wild West right now. Like the podcasting, even though it's been around for some years and there's like 3 million podcasts out there, but it is pretty cool, isn't it? It's like the Wild West. It's like radio probably was in the 30s or whatever when it was, kicking off. And, whereas we have freedom, we don't have corporate people over us. We can kind of say what we want creatively, kind of do what you want. So there's gonna be some unbelievable great things coming out of this, I think, as far as that. I think you're going to see more podcasts. I think you're going to see comedically things are going to shift to more on the internet. The idea hasn't hit yet of how to make income with it.
That hasn't. That's the only part that's missing, right?
Well, yeah. There's a couple of friends said, "Oh, Jim, do a stand up." A couple guys I know they're really great comedians do stand up with no audience, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Yeah, no good.
don't-
But it's on demand too. To your point, and maybe everything happens for a reason, right? Maybe when you exited or someone told you to exit or whatever that story is with your channel, maybe it was the right time, right? Because now I feel like when you had gone and now you look at the landscape of Pittsburgh radio, people want on-demand content. You don't tease anything anymore. Everybody knows every story that's going on in the world. So if you don't have an original voice doing it like you did on the show, what are people tuning in for? They already have this information at their fingertips. They don't need us to be newsreaders anymore. They still need entertainers more than ever. And I think that's where radio has a huge disconnect now.
You're absolutely on the money, right? And I think because it was the corporate feel and everything, and a lot of rules, a lot of this and that, and it's now with the way we can do it. Like I said, this is going to grow new personalities, because there's no one to tell you no. There's no one to say this is how it's done. Sometimes when something's done so long, so many generations, the radio shows, TV shows, that there's a format. And the only reason that I broke out was because I came at the right time. I was a child of the comedy club boom. Comedy clubs were just starting in the 80s. And there was Catch Rising Star in New York. There was the Comedy Store, maybe the Improv in LA. And then all of a sudden, it started to franchise. The comedy clubs started hitting everywhere. And they hit in Pittsburgh, had 4 clubs. And then by the mid-'80s, there was 4 clubs in every city. Almost every top 50 markets had 4 clubs. So guys like me, who grew up in blue-collar family, Pittsburgh, I could become a national touring comedian making money and develop an act. Because it's still the same structure now as it was then. There's the MC, the middle, and the headliner. And the money's according. And, it's so what it did was it developed all these people that got to do comedy for a living. I was doing 6 shows a week, to 6 to 8 shows a week, every week. It was my job. And I was able to make
a full-time living. Radio.
Is pre-radio.
Yeah.
I did that for 6 years. And I didn't realize it, but that was developing me into anything I wanted to do entertainment-wise. A lot of the guys that went to Los Angeles to do development deals. I remember there was a time right before I got on radio in 87, it was like 86 or 87, I was to join, there was a management firm that I was going to join. It was with Tim Allen. It was from like Chicago he's come from. So it's before he hit this TV show. So a lot of these guys, Jerry Seinfeld and those guys, Jerry Seinfeld was known because of the Tonight Show. But a lot of those guys from the comedy club boom got television shows, development deals, and then a few went to radio. And I was fortunate. I was going to move to Los Angeles, and I came home for about 3 months before the move. And as I was on the road, like I said, 6 years on the road and working mainly out of New York City at Dangerfields in New York years ago. And so I come home, and DVE was 17th in the market of 20 stations at the time. They had a morning show, Jimmy and Steve, and Jimmy and Steve had left. There was contract thing or something. And they had gone to Florida, and some changes they made, and the ratings dropped. They were 17th. I knew nothing about ratings. So when I was joining the show, I came on as a guest. I did a club called Graffiti in Oakland.
Of course.
So Graffiti said, "Hey, you have to do DVE in the morning. It's part of the deal they have."
Okay.
So I said, "Okay." So I went on and I did it as a guest for promote my show, and I do a lot of characters and impressions and things. So it worked for the radio, and it was kind of cool. I liked it because, like I said, doing 6 shows a week live, it's a different vibe doing radio, man. It's like different. It's like almost more comfortable it was for me or something. I liked it.
Yeah.
And so I enjoyed. So the programmer at the time just kept inviting me back before I left. Said, "You got a few months? Come on the show." I said, "Okay, I do like this." I never thought of ratings. I didn't know what that was. I didn't even understand what's going on. I didn't know there was 17th in the market or what was going on. They were going to switch a company, but Hanna-Barbera bought them, and they were going to switch the format to something else, whatever, in months. Well, as I went on, ratings started to bump up a little bit, and then they signed me to a deal for 6 months. And then the rating, I didn't realize 6 months was 2 ratings books. And then they went from 17th, went to 8th, and then in about a year we were number 1, like a little over a year, but 4 books later. So that's what I ended up staying 25 years.
And then the switch happened, right? So you started focusing more on radio, and stand-up was kind of that secondary, back in the clubs when you had time. But boy, when you take over a show in a big market, where, how do you make time for job number 2? It's really tough.
It was very tough, but they were nice to me. The management was always nice, and the program was always nice. They would let me do what I wanted to do, basically. So I did still do stand-up. I had my agent, Dave Settlemar, would still book me and do stand-up. But no, you're right, not as much, not to the level I could do it now. Like now I can, before this, fly to LA. But I was able to have my act at a national level and work at it constantly and tweak it and add things. But you're right, with radio, that was my number one focus, radio, and writing skits, characters, interviews. And then it was just basically an automatic for the stand-up, which always came natural to me anyway. So thank God. But so
are you a regimented person now that you're doing your podcast? That's no restrictions, obviously, right? You're living up to that name.
Yes.
Is there something that makes you miss those days of commercials, music, program directors? Here's what it should be. Here's what I think makes you funny, Jim. Or is this already? I already know the answer to this question.
Oh yeah, you go to yes and no. That was the toughest thing to put up with. As everybody has to do in every job out there. People, they do their job, they know what they're doing, but you have to deal with the outside forces of people giving their opinion, or they want to keep their jobs. They're afraid, so they want to. So they have to tell you how to do your job. I don't miss that at all. That's the thing I don't miss. The thing that drew me to radio was when we were 17th in the market, and at the beginning, no one knew what we were doing and listening. So it was a wild. It was more like a podcast. I literally was. If you guys remember when we started, we probably couldn't get away with anything that we did. You guys listened to, right? I mean, we were almost rated R in a way. It really wouldn't be FCC friendly right now as much. It was right on the line, but we were able to do that because until we became number 1, and for a while, and then the attention got on, so we had to taper back a little bit. But those first 2 years, it was almost like cable. We could almost anything but the F word.
Anything go.
It seemed to almost go, yeah. And so podcasting reminds me of the first 2 years on radio when I worked with Scott. And I got this. I found this young lady. She's really younger. She's so funny, brilliant comedian. Her name's Sarah Wellsby. And Sarah joins the show about 10 months ago or so, and she's helped a lot. And very funny. Having a younger, she's 32, so it helps. Having a younger person and having a female voice too on the show. So it's changed my podcast. And here I tell you guys, I'm the worst at like promoting myself. I'm the worst self-promoter ever.
You haven't said your website once. So here we go. Wait till you see this. Look at that.
There you go. I'm like the worst promoter.
Put your name up there.
Easy.
Feedspot.com, which is like an RS feeder that does like best of, like the top restaurant magazines will follow, the top 10 national parks. Well, this week they had top the top 20 podcasts in the country to follow, and Whitney Cummings was number one, and my friend Beth sent me over the list, and here Jim Krenn No Restrictions was number 18. So it's kind of cool.
There you go.
Top 20 podcasts in the country.
Great.
Right on,
to
man.
follow according to FeedSpot. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Right on.
Thank you. Yeah, it's like I said, the worst promoter, but that's pretty cool. I said, wow, okay, that's good. This is but point I'm making is, I've been doing it since 2012. It's now becoming a thing where I think podcasting is now. They used to say podcasting is the future. It's now. Now it's happening, guys. You're right there. Your podcast are perfect time for doing this, because I think the difference is now, because a lot of it's video. You can see it.
Right.
And you can get it on your televisions and home. It's easy to get now, and it wasn't quite as easy to get. I mean, every generation can get it. Also, technologically, they made it easy. They dumbed it down for me. So
Well, it's a credit to you and your podcast as well, because you can get, if you want to watch Tiger King right now, you got it. If you want to watch the news right now, you got it. If you want to hear Krenn, you got to compete, and people can get it. So yeah, more power to you, man. That's awesome.
Thank you. You too. Yeah, it's for all of us. I think for podcasting in general. And yeah, it is interesting. Like, for instance, I did last Friday morning, I was on Larry's show. He wanted to give me some love for getting the top 20 thing in FeedSpot. So he gave me a little promotion. We talked, and my friend, I said, Siri, did you hear it? She goes, no, I missed it. I slept in. So I get it later on the app, which is fascinating when you think about it. You're right. Everything's on demand. I mean, even radio. I mean, you could say, I could listen to you, later on.
Or even Fallon or Kimmel. I don't need to sit through what I don't like on a late night show anymore. I just want to see him sing with the Roots, and I can get that on demand at any moment, which is pretty cool.
It is. It's funny though, especially with quarantine, guys. Are you like me? I am strangely binge watching every possible show. Like on Netflix, I think I got to the point where I watched Girl Boss, which is how low is that? I watched every show. I'm watching all the subtitle shows,
What's been your favorite? What's been your top one?
I would have to say the new episodes of Ozark. If you haven't seen Ozark on Netflix, go back to season 1. There's like 3 seasons. It's Jason Bateman, Laura Linney. If you like Breaking Bad, you love Ozark. It's got that vibe. It's not exactly that. It's more about money laundering, but it's cartel stuff, and it kind of gets, to me, it has a Breaking Bad vibe all the way. But I highly, highly recommend Ozark. And there was a show, I just found the other one the other day, a new show that came out, Outer Banks.
What's that about?
It's kind of cool. It was a young guy. The people that live in the Outer Banks all year round. And there was a shipwreck that had $400 million in this ship, and it deals with this young kid's dad who passed away looking for that gold, and he gets some kind of like map or compass that has a clue of where the gold is. It's been looked for forever, and so the show deals with him. This young kid who's like 16, 17, trying to find the gold, and how many people were after him to kill him who were looking for the gold and want the gold. So it's like kind of an adventure, mindless.
Ed, how have you not watched this, man? This sounds like something Ed would be hooked on.
This sounds like right up my alley, man. I got to definitely check that out for sure.
It's one of those mind candy ones, because it's like, it's Outer Banks. You got the beach, the whole vibe, your mind escapes, and it's mindless, and it's got the adventure, and it's pretty cool, man. It's one of the better shows I've seen, Netflix. I think Ozark's probably my top show. How about you guys? What do you guys like?
Well, we had Sally Wiggin on. Wasn't that Sally's favorite show right now?
Sally loves Ozark. You guys should, and then there you go. You should do a viewing.
We have to watch it together, man.
See, Sally loves that Breaking Bad stuff.
I'm hooked now, and Ed and I were just talking before you jumped on. The ESPN documentary on the Chicago Bulls just got released on Sunday. That follows them through their last year of Jordan and Pippen, and when they were the biggest thing in the world. And there's so much shit and drama to it. It's a must watch if you grew up, just watching basketball or sports and Michael Jordan. So right now I'm focused on that. And my kids and I watch Buddy versus Duff, the Cake Boss versus the Ace of Cakes. So that's a series of unfortunate events. I'm in kid world, Jim. So I fall asleep before I can turn on Ozarks.
I am so excited. I didn't know about this Bulls documentary thing. I'm going to watch that tonight because I read.
It's called The Last
What's
Dance.
it called?
The Last Dance.
Because I just read the book that was a legendary book. The author escapes a few months ago. I read Jordan Rules or something like that. It was from the first run of their championship in '92 or whatever year it was. The first year that Phil Jackson joined them and they won the championship. And it's a book that chronicles this guy followed them every day. It was like a diary. And it's an amazing book. And it was the anniversary for it or something like that. And
Okay.
so, but I read it. That's why I can't wait to see the documentary. But it talked about, like you said, the drama involved with the Bulls. And I didn't realize Jordan was like the king. He was getting 50, 60 points a game. And Jackson had to sit him down and say, nobody's won the scoring. There's one person that won the scoring title in history ever won the championship. It was like, Kareem Jabbar or somebody. It was like one player on. But in other words, if you're the scoring champion, you don't win the championship. You got to learn to be a team. And that's when he brought Pippen in. Mm-hmm. And Jordan, to his credit, had to change to the triangle offense, which was, he was worried about getting his endorsements. He was pretty big even before the first championship, but he couldn't get in. And Jackson said, "No, you get 40 points a game, you'll win the championship." And
here's the problem, though, Jim, that'll drive you nuts on this show. When you watch it, you'll feel like you're watching yourself because it's so radio. Because it's Jordan's battle with a general manager who's deciding what's best for the team. It's a struggle between management and talent. Phil Jackson's caught in the middle like a program director would be. And then you have these wildly talented people with egos. You actually might be exhausted watching it. But when I got done with the first two, I love to binge watch things just like Ed does and you do. With this, I need a week's break before I jump back in to see how he takes on the Pistons.
That is awesome. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. That intensity is like that in radio with, everybody wanting to get involved and not letting you do your thing. But, it's interesting. It's like that in a lot of businesses, I think, also.
Of course. But the big scene on this is Jordan and Jerry Krause, who's the general manager, who's like a 3'5" white guy, looks like he had a stroke, and he's telling Jordan what it's all about. And then you have Jordan, right? And it's a back and forth of Jordan saying, there's a lot of great people in this organization. And I'm thinking, like, this is so radio. And there's a lot of great people in this organization. But when it comes down to it, it's the guys who take the court every single night that make the organization. It goes right to Krause, and Krause goes, it's the guys who make the decisions to put the puppets on the field so I can be the puppet master. And it's like, there you go. It's every industry. It's every industry.
That's radio all the way.
I know, right? Yeah, of course.
It's interesting, though, guys. You're right. I think what it is when something, and it's probably, I think everything successful, even individual sports like boxing, is teamwork. Because you have the trainers, you have the cut man, the corner, whatever. It's never. There's one person who does, dominantly. They're showcasing their talent, but there's teamwork in everything. Even in stand-up, there's teamwork. I have an agent, I have a manager, I have people giving me advice, help. So I think what happens is when we get together a group, even whether it's basketball, whether it's radio, whatever, and if the right combination of people are together and has some kind of energy, you could almost feel it's going to happen. Something successful is going to happen. And then when it starts to get successful, that's when, you're right, the egos come out of one, credit. They want credit, and two, they want to make sure you have the people that may be on the fringe who don't have the talent, want to get their thumbprint on it to become part of it. So there's that battle there. And then there's a lot of things they have to battle. That's why it's hard to not only win, but to stay successful. That's why you see like the Patriots or our Steel organization who's consistently, winner. When you see these football organizations, those are, prototypical or blueprint that we could look at for business or for anything to that succeed. Because if you could succeed like that over that amount of time, imagine the egos involved and how they have to somehow pull back or whatever. They must have to pull back at some point. I mean, obviously Brady's left, so it's different now, but they already fulfilled everything they wanted. But I think at some point I think it's in every business though, is that if something's successful, the combination's right, that's when it's the toughest part to let that whole thing happen, without wanting the egos getting involved. It's tough.
Jim, you were asking us what we're watching, and have you watched any of these old games that have been on TV? I was watching the '92 Pirate Brave game with Sid Bream sliding across home plate. I swear they've been showing that like 16 times in the last 2 weeks. I watched the Penn Stanley Cup from '09 not too long ago. The Steelers Super Bowl win over Arizona. My wife keeps looking at me going, "You know how these all end? Why are you watching them?" And she goes, "Especially the Braves game." And I'm like, "Well, I need to feel it again. I need to feel that pain that I felt when I was 12 years old."
That's so funny. I'm laughing because I do the same thing. I'm like,
maybe this time Bream will slip coming home and we'll tag him out and we'll win.
Yes, we know the outcome. That's why I like watching.
I can't stop
I love that. My favorite one to watch is the Steelers and the Arizona Cardinals in '08, man. When Holmes made that catch, man, that was the greatest. I was at that game. Remember, it was just phenomenal. It was my favorite Super Bowl of all time. So I love watching things that we know it's going to be a great ending. But I know the Bream thing, and it was just so dramatic. It was like a movie. Even though we were at the short end of the stick on that one, it's still exciting to watch. I don't know why. We love it.
Of course.
I'm like you.
Sid does a show every year at the Greensburg Theater or something where he talks about his career, and I just haven't been able to get myself to go to that yet. I don't know if I'm ready for an evening with Sid Bream. I've had plenty of evenings in my mind with Sid Bream.
Yeah, you know what's funny? I want to see if he ever comes to Pittsburgh. You're not going to believe it. I don't know if you guys saw this or not on HBO. It's about a couple years ago, but now it's resurging. I've seen it recently. Mike Tyson did a one-man play. Yeah, and it was on HBO. Remember that? Yeah. I don't know if you guys saw, but it was amazing to watch. It was so funny, so well done. Mm-hmm. I mean, this guy's not a stand-up or anything, but he must have been coached or something how to do it. But the way he told the stories were phenomenal. But supposedly he's touring that now, like he's going.
I saw him in Vegas do part 2.
Oh, you did?
Last year. And it is weird. You're right. Because I couldn't figure out, because he's been hit in the head so many times. You don't know what's going on upstairs, right? But he has this shtick memorized, not like a stand-up, more like a robot stand-up. And I thought that he had an earpiece in and people were telling him the jokes and he was repeating them. But it's funny and it's really great stuff.
That's awesome. So you saw this, part 2. That's
phenomenal. I saw part 2. And he times it up. It's a multimedia thing where he times it up with videos of his fights and videos of his interviews, but he doesn't blink and he doesn't turn his head. They turn him on and he goes, and then I guess they power him down after the show and they carry him off the stage. I don't know. It's really fascinating.
Well, Brad, what they do it with it, I'm almost certain how they do it. And you're probably onto something with the headpiece thing, feeding lines, but they're probably using teleprompters. I'm sure there's prompters all around them. Yeah. They probably have the headpiece, but I think probably what a lot of these people do, he's doing it now, making the money in Vegas, touring it, like I said, but they do it. He'll do it for a year or two until it gets to the point where it's more second nature, and that's when we'll see the next one on HBO, because that's when we saw the one on HBO.
His first one is great. It's really fun,
and we watch it and look at.
It's been a while since I've seen it. It was
probably
good.
Used a year or two that what you saw in Vegas, probably getting it ready.
We paid the money. It's not like we were going to boom off the stage. I'd be worried that it'd jump off the stage and kill me.
And they were just showing on ESPN this past Saturday all those old boxing matches. It was awesome. They were showing the Holyfield, the Tyson, Foreman, all the ones from like the early '90s. It was phenomenal.
I got to meet him once, believe it or not.
What was that interaction like?
It was our Super Bowl in 2005, Detroit one, in the Boston one.
Yeah, 2005. Yep.
So how it is the radio stations, so when you're we're in a hometown where we were a Steelers station, so they have everything set up for this thing called Radio Row. You got all these stations from all over the country, but you're kind of like the highlighted one because you're from Pittsburgh. In Seattle was in the game, obviously. But anyway, my one buddy Rod, they have parties every night. So you start Super Bowl on like Monday, and then Tuesday's media day. But every night there's parties, and every player has a party. There's the ESPN parties, so it's basically a week of partying. But anyway, the hottest party at that time was the Maxim party. No one could get a ticket for it. My buddy Rod gets a ticket. I'm like, oh my God. So he said, we're going to the Maxim party. It's all right. So every celebrity's there. So I'm watching her all walking by, every celebrity you could think of, right? Jessica Alba, John Travolta, Kid Rock, they're all Snoop Dogg, whatever. And I look over in the corner. There's no one around them. It was people like with it, almost like a social distancing before social distancing. Like 10, 12 feet away from him, Mike Tyson. It's Mike Tyson holding a drink of something. There's a table standing there, and there's a bodyguard like a couple feet from Tyson, which is weird if you think Tyson needs a bodyguard. So
right. Why would he need a bodyguard?
Right. But he's there, and then people are just kind of looking at him, just not talking to him. They're just standing like there's no rope. It almost looked like an imaginary rope. And he's just standing there. And I tell my buddy, I said, I got to say hi to Mike Tyson. He goes, no, don't do that.
Don't do it.
He doesn't look happy.
Yeah.
And he didn't look happy. Like, he just like this. So I'm like, I got to say it. So I remembered John Saraceno is a boxing writer. And he used to be on our morning show in weekly. And he was there at the Super Bowl week. And I was going to have him on the show the next day. And I thought, oh, John's a friend of his. He had mentioned he's pretty tight with Mike Tyson. And I thought, okay, I'll just throw that name out. I thought this will work. So I said, nah, Rod, I'm okay. So I break a little pack of the invisible line.
Okay.
And Tyson looks up and the bodyguard looks. And Tyson just waves me in like it's okay. So I walk up to him I'm like, champ. Said, I'm a huge fan of yours, and I'm nervous. And I'm like, great honor to meet you. Oh, by the way, John Saraceno says hello. He's going to be on the show tomorrow. I'm doing this radio show in Pittsburgh. He puts his drink down, guys. I couldn't believe it. It was emotional. He puts his drink down, and he gets me in a bear hug. He's shorter than me. He gets me in a bear hug. I mean, he's holding me really tight, and his head is in my chest.
How strong is Tyson? Like when he has his arms around you, is it scary how strong he is?
It was like having a bear with a vice. I could feel my ribs almost cracking, and my air was literally escaping my lungs. Because he starts almost crying. It's emotional. He goes, and it's all I hear muffled in my chest. Nobody else could hear it. I just hear him say, "John Saraceno is a very dear friend of mine. He's a very dear. Please tell him I said hello. Please." I go, I will. I'll tell him. No, please. You got to promise me. Tell me. I go, I will. Please. And then he finally dropped me, and I ran away like a gazelle, like when they get escape or something like an animal.
He let you free.
I was free. But it was my exchange with Tyson. Yeah, he got all emotional with John. So, yeah, he's an emotional man.
So funny.
It was interesting. Interesting.
Your Tyson impression's right on, man. That's a very good Tyson.
Thank you. Well, he's a dynamic character, right? He is. It's
amazing.
Well, think about it, guys. When we watched him through his boxing career, remember those fights were amazing to watch. They were 1 minute of just
21 seconds, 62 seconds.
We loved it, and
of course,
none of us would have ever thought in a million years that we'd be buying a ticket in Vegas to see him do a one-man play, right? A one-man show.
Yeah.
But that goes to show you how dynamic that character, he is just a dynamic personality. And dynamic people could almost do anything in a way they put their mind to it, in a sense. And
yeah, he's one of them for sure.
He's one of them. He's a dynamic man. Yeah, we all know who he is.
All right, Jim, let's give the website one more time. You probably have so many other things to do right now than talk to us. But
you guys are great. I love it.
Thank you for your time tonight. JimKrenn.com. No Restrictions podcast. The number 17th podcast in the world.
Kind of cool.
18. Who did you sneak out? Did you know?
It's good. It's good. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Can't wait to do it again. You guys, you got to come on my show, right?
I would love to. We would love to. It would be a lot of fun.
I got a deal. We're going to do with Kate on, Interscope. We're going to do Intercom. Radio. As soon as this is over, so you guys come on. I'll set it up. You guys come on the show. All right. We'll talk some sports a little bit.
All right.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate the time tonight. Thanks so much.
See you guys.
Thanks, Jim.
Jim Krenn on the big show tonight. What a night. Nice guy.
Dude, Jim was awesome, man. I think just like Rick Seaback and some of these other folks we've had on the last few weeks, man, I could talk to him for hours.
I think he comes across as just a very nice, sincere person and a very funny guy. And he's the fabric of Pittsburgh, right? So it's great to talk to him and see that he's a cool guy and wants to just hang out. Now, we didn't get to any of the controversial questions I wanted to ask him, but that's okay. But Ed, did you feel like, hey, this would be a great show? WDVE, Krenn and Troop.
You gotta get that voice
Yeah.
going. New and classic rock all day. Funny gimmicks in the morning. Then they start laughing.
Krenn and Troop in the morning. It's all day.
102.5 DV.
You missed your calling, man. It should have been you and Krenn. Forget about Paul. I guess you were a little too young for Paulson and Krenn. You should have come in instead of Randy, and it would have been Krenn and Troop. And you do sports. He does the comedy. I love it. They get it in this running.
Man, I'm at home with you,
Michael
brother.
Jordan. I wanted to ask Krenn if he thought you looked like Michael Jordan. Shoot.
How did we drop the ball on that one? We got to bring him back on again and ask him that. Now we've been extended into May.
Have we? Wow, it's going to be a long May.
Brian told me last night, as soon as the weather gets nice, I'm done with the show. I'm canceling.
I did tell Ed today that when the weather gets nice, I quit.
It's going to end. As soon as it gets above 65 degrees,
we're done. I have to get out with TJ and have beers on the back deck, socially distance ourselves. But this was fun, man. Krenn was awesome. Hey, tomorrow night, Paul Alexander, Mr. Pittsburgh Sports. So we're just lining up. We're lining up some great legends, some great Pittsburghers, and thanks for everyone to check it out. And we'll put this on YouTube tonight, so you can go back and check out our conversation with Jim or Sonny Abada last night, or Bubba from 100.7, or Sally or Rick. Or I think it's just fun. And Ed, when you pass someday, maybe of even the coronavirus, I'll watch these at night and think, man, we had the time of our life.
We did. We'll look back on these and have a good laugh at the expense of one of our deaths.
I'll put a montage together of your best moments.
Thanks.
Your artwork. It will be your artwork. Then it'll start with there it is. Your new artwork, but it'll start with instead of saying, let me see if I can change it. 1980. Here, it could look like this. Here's what it looked like where the video will start. Hold on. Wait, where were you born? 1980?
Yes, sir.
This is what the video will start with.
Oh, there you go. 2021. At least I'm going to make it until next year.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
At least I know I get through this year.
You get through this year, I think. And then we'll say, hey, we're going to renew you. We'll see what happens. All right, Ed, thank you. What a great night. Thanks to Jim Krenn. What a fun show. We'll see you tomorrow night with Paul Alexander to talk some sports. Back in Ed's wheelhouse, talking some sports. And Paul's the guy who's covered it all. And I know you being a Pitt guy and Paul being a Penn State guy, you might have a few differences of opinions.
Nah, we'll be all right, man. We'll be good. I'm not as big of a Pitt fan as I once was when we were younger. Now I'm kind of like a college free agent. I kind of watch, a little bit.
Don't fight with Paul tonight over sports. It's not worth it in this coronavirus times. In these pandemics, we have to keep each other close. We can't push them away.
We'll start and see what Paul thinks about me looking like Michael Jordan.
That's a good question. He must answer.
We'll start there.
Good night, my friend.
There. Stay healthy, everyone.
Troop. Hope you had a great time, as we did, and we'll see you tomorrow with Paul Alexander. Good night.